Hey Pepe, good to see you.
Hey, Steven. Yeah, good to see you too. That's really nice.
So thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome.
I'm really looking forward to hearing about all of the developments in AI that might uh, improve the lives of frontline businesses. But before we get into that, can you just tell me a little bit more about yourself? I know you're doing a PhD in machine learning, so yeah, if you could just tell us a bit about that, that would be great.
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, thank you for the invitation. I mean, I'm super happy to be in this stream live. Yeah, a little bit about me. So then, I am currently finishing my PhD on machine learning at the University of Freiburg, and I also give some advice or like some module lectures at the University of Applied Sciences in the field of as well in artificial intelligence and machine learning. My position in Beekeeper also is related to that. So I help customers to integrate their solutions with our product, but also I help to drive initiatives around data, and this is something that I feel really passionate about it. Um, yeah, so basically we are super happy with this. Yes.
I'm sure you could teach me a lot because I feel like I'm assisted by AI, but I don't know the. Let's start with something really simple. What is AI?
Yes, exactly. So actually, AI is kind of like a buzzword that everybody uses today, especially after this Chat GPT release, right? Recently. So AI basically is artificial intelligence, and what does that mean? It basically is a set of techniques to replicate human intelligence, which means that is like methods to automate the reasoning of a person, methods to automate decisions, methods to take this to model the world in order to take a decision as a human, right? So basically, it's replicate kind of human intelligence as a whole, right? And this is a little bit misleading because in general what we do in several companies actually, for example, like this natural language processing of ChatGPT, this is more a machine learning field. It's more machine learning methods to model one very specific part of intelligence, right? So it's a little bit misleading term. It's correct. It sounds really cool, but in reality what we do in most of the cases is just machine learning, which is one specific set of methods, which is a subset of artificial intelligence, basically. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, so can you tell me a bit more about machine learning then? So machine learning is a subset of
Yeah,
AI.
exactly.
So what does machine learning do?
Yeah. So machine learning is actually like, so it's divided in different categories, right? Because AI is to model all human intelligence. Actually, humans we perceive based on senses, right? So we perceive by the eyes, by the vision. We perceive by taste. We also like perceive with information that we have currently. We also like express ourselves with language, right? As we are doing now. So basically, what we do is in machine learning, you have a small categories that tries to go in this kind of direction. We have computer vision that actually are just methods, algorithms that focus to replicate how to identify objects with the eyes, right? Or like with a video, for instance, or in pictures, right? You see like a lot of methods going into this direction. It identify objects, right? Or like the typical case that we see with natural language processing, that you can actually chat with an entity and it will like try to replicate human human language, right? Trying to respond as a person, respond with a kind of certain logic, right? This is like another series of techniques in terms of natural language processing. Is another category of machine learning. And of course, there are many other ones for make predictions or like maybe like classify users or classify categories, like this is a cat, this is a dog. So basically machine learning is just the isolated methods to achieve this particular intelligence, right? And when you combine all of them in a very specific way, then you start to create this like intelligence or this AI, right?
Yeah, okay. So you mentioned a couple of applications there, or I guess programs like the natural language processing like ChatGPT and maybe recognizing images. But how do you think AI can be applied to frontline businesses?
Yeah, here is like here is something it's a very interesting field because we have always this elephant in the room, which is the legal and compliant, right? So I always say this is like when you are making, for instance, like self-driving cars, of course there are some kind of regulations, right? I mean, you have to take care of several things, but the technology you can add to the car as many sensors, as many surveillance, right, around the car to monitor what is happening around, right? However, when you put the person or a human in the center of a machine learning algorithm, that's a very different story because we humans we are protected by law, right? I mean, we are protected. We have a privacy rules. We have our own rights, right? In a certain way. So that make it more challenging in terms of machine learning because you can apply methods, right? We have seen several examples in the past, like other big tech companies like Facebook, Google, that they have just applied those methods like very blindly to user data that it should be protected by privacy rules, and yeah, they just ended up like be super invasive in terms of like your privacy, right? And in Beekeeper, this is not the direction that we are taking. I mean, actually, we what we do here is kind of different. It's called more like machine learning that is GDPR compliant. So we respect this kind of privacy. And the term is actually not new. This comes from in machine learning. There is a very specific subcategory of these models that is called machine learning with tiny data sets, basically. So this is a small area of machine learning in terms of research, and this is something that we take for Beekeeper in that sense because tiny data sets for machine learning means that we don't need to grab all the information of the users that are in the platform, right? But still get the proper predictions or still to get um, the proper accuracy for the models to actually predict something, right? Um, so this means, in other words, it means that we don't need to gather all your private data in order to provide you a certain smart prediction, right? So this means that it's not invasive. So we don't need to know your name. We don't need to know your email address. We don't need to follow you like in a like tracing your location all the time. We don't need to do that actually to provide you some kind of benefits for your work environment or by using the app, right? Like recommending you information is not based on any kind of private traces, like if you're a male, a woman, or if you have like a particular age. This doesn't depend on this kind of recommendations, right? So we do it in a way that we always protect your privacy, and this is a really really big asset, and it's a really like very challenging and new research technologies that we have. Yeah.
Okay. I know that's really good to hear because privacy is definitely a big concern for a lot of businesses. So you said tiny data sets, right? So is that using existing data sets outside of the user base to generate the
Yeah,
algorithms?
this is a very valid question, right? I mean, so I think here we can go into two different directions. So the first direction is when you train data for a particular machine learning model. I will give a very simple example, like sentiment analysis, right? That is something that we're going to offer soon. So sentiment analysis, in order to detect if the text of a person is positive or negative, of course, you need to train data on previous text, right? However, the cool thing here is even when we train data sets, we ensure that we never touch the data from the customer. So we never use the data of the customer, especially the text of comments or the text of posts, which is like private information from the company. We never use this data to train this kind of like sentiment model, right? To predict if the text is like positive or negative. What we use is a totally different data sets that are like more public available, right? Like maybe books or maybe like other type of like proper sources, depending of the language that we want to predict the sentiment, right? Like that, we ensure that we don't filter any kind of private company information into the model, and this we ensure privacy as well for the companies to be also compliant with the security of the data, right? This is
Yeah.
one direction. The second one, in terms of like, now let's say you want to understand behavior of users in the platform, right? Yeah, we can do that, but we anonymize everything. We don't know, we just understand patterns, but we do not know who you are, right? I mean, maybe it can be me just logging in into the application, playing around with several features there, and we recommend you some content, but we never know that is you, right? It's something like we still keep your anonymity on behind, right? And it's totally protected. Your identity in Beekeeper is totally protected, and the recommendations, they just come from these anonymized features or anonymized values that are really limited. That's why it's like tiny data sets, right?
Yeah. Okay, cool. Good. Well, amazing to hear that it's all GDPR compliant and secure and safe. But let's put some meat on the bones. What exactly are we delivering to customers? Like, more broadly speaking, how can AI add value to frontline businesses?
Yeah, yeah. So the way that we embrace machine learning in Beekeeper is not to replace frontline workers. This is something very important to mention here. So the direction that machine learning goes in Beekeeper is not replacing the job of a person. It's more to enhance the work of a person, right? So let me give you an example. So if we provide a recommendation to you in the product, right, is to help you to make a better job, right, to make it like a better decision, you using the app,
Mhm.
but it's not replacing actually the tasks that you have to do, right? So I think this brings more value because it brings more, let's say, you are more productive, sorry, you're more productive in that sense, so you can finish the same task but maybe faster, right, because you have something that was helping you to do it,
Mhm.
or maybe you need the help of a colleague, right? So these algorithms will find the way to find the closest person that you can rely on, right, and maybe it's working on the same shift, right, or maybe on the same floor or something, so that can actually help you to finish your work earlier, or maybe to clear up a question, right? This is something that actually can help you like a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So with Beekeeper's new Frontline Intelligence package, that one of the elements of that is sentiment analysis, which you briefly mentioned a moment ago. Can you tell me a bit more about
Yeah,
that?
exactly. So as you can see, that we have several methods that we are still like under research, but one that is kind of like mature now is sentiment analysis. It's something that we have been working over the last year and a half. So finally, we got it totally fully compliant. So this one actually, what it does is preserves the privacy of the person, right? But it will help to supervisors or like global admins actually to understand the mood of the company, right? Like how the people are like feeling through the text, through comments, like if the how do they react to certain communications without pointing to a particular individual, right? So we have like some safeguards that if there is only one comment, of course there is only one comment in one particular stream or something, our system does not make any kind of prediction in that sense there, because it will be really easy to identify maybe like a user who is providing like either a positive or negative comment. So we try to make it fair, and so we only apply this technology on a certain volume of data where it's not possible to identify the individuals, right? Like that we are kind of like building trust, so the algorithm actually offers the the sentiment over time across the communication and also the reaction of the employees across several communication channels or streams, right? But if in a certain point there is like a person can be identified by this, or a particular person is driven this particular sentiment, yeah, the algorithm is smart enough to actually not provide you this kind of insights to figure it out or to point to someone, right? And this helps to build trust
Mm.
on the user, so they are not afraid to write a comment. They are not afraid to to collaborate, to actually to share their thoughts, right, in the platform. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that means that frontline managers can gauge how employees are
Mhm.
feeling through this automatic analysis of the comments and posts within the news feeds and the streams, so they don't have to send out an employee satisfaction survey or something, or speak to employees on basis kind of collecting this information
Exactly.
about how happy they are. Sentiment analysis can deliver that information, and I guess the important thing here is that the employees can know that if they are writing comments, then they can know that those comments are going to be listened to, because previously, I guess it would be hard for an employer to read every single comment of every single employee. But if an employee is unhappy and they make a comment about that, they know that information will get back to the employer via sentiment analysis.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, here I just want to emphasize something, that because I see something here happening. So it's not individual employees, right? So we don't really target individual employees, right? Because that's part of keeping the privacy of the person, right? So what we do is, like, for the frontline manager, what he will be able to see is like the mood of the team in general, right? It's like, for example, if generally the team is like not feeling like, maybe like in a neutral phase, is to the team that he can provide like a better communication, right? Like maybe like motivates them, or like maybe take some kind of actions for the entire team, not a very particular individual, right? I think it's a very different approach. If we don't want to target individuals, because that is more like breaking the privacy, but it's more to use it more for team, right? For the team who is like actually receiving this sentiment, right? And of course, there might be teams where maybe you have like one person, right? And for that, our algorithm is smart enough to, in those kind of like edge cases, we don't actually provide any kind of sentiment, right? Because you might be tempted to make just only groups for one person, right? But our algorithm is enough to identify like a no, it's not possible. Just to give you like a rule of thumb, so we have like one rule of what we have done some research in this direction. So at least I don't have a ballpark figure, but I can tell you like it will be like between 10 to 12 members in a group will be when the algorithm starts to provide kind of sentiment, right? I mean, lower than 10 will not be possible. I mean, the algorithm will not do it in order to avoid that someone will be able to identify who are these users, right?
Yeah. Okay, interesting. And where do you see AI and machine learning for frontline businesses going in the future? So we have the Frontline Intelligence package coming out, which includes sentiment analysis, but it also includes more advanced analytics and benchmarking against other industries, and ways of collecting insights from employees through templated workflows. But looking further ahead, where do you see AI taking for the frontline world?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. I appreciate that, because I think today we live into this world that you see on the news that AI is going to replace frontline workers, right? I mean, I think this is the core fear here. Like, oh, AI is actually take over of my job. They will automate myself, or the tasks that I am doing in a daily life will be automated, right? And this is something that on Beekeeper we take the other philosophical approach. So AI is a tool, it's not a replacement for you, right? So in this case, all the features that we are going to release, especially in this Frontline Intelligence package, and in the future that we are going to release way more, is they are more about to empower the users actually to perform their job faster, to be able to open the app and actually take decisions on what they see, the information at really, I mean, on demand, basically. And they can just close the app and go directly to continue doing their own tasks, right? I mean, we also have this philosophy at Beekeeper that, yes, we want to have like active users in the platform, but we want to have actually like also like users that they just open the app, find the fastest way, the information that they need to complete their task, and then close the app and then continue doing their working, like very low level of distraction. And then we think that with machine learning we can achieve those kind of levels. We can empower the user to be more efficient. If they need something, they can reach it really quickly with their hand, with the app, sorry, and then understand what is happening quickly and then close it and continue. So that's the power of AI. I see is like removing distractions for the users, because there is an algorithm working on behalf of them, understanding what they are doing and empowering them to be the best version of themselves. This is what I what I see machine learning as a tool helping the frontline workers, right?
Yeah, it's really exciting. I think it's just going to make us more efficient, more productive, and happier because, like with sentiment analysis, um, employers will be able to more easily understand how employees are feeling and be able to improve the employee experience and to make frontline roles a happier and more productive place.
Yes.
So, yeah, super exciting.
Yeah.
So, Pepe, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been really enlightening. I'm sure we'll probably have more conversations about this going forward. But yeah, thank you again.
No, I appreciate it, Steven. It was a thank you for the invitation. And yeah, I mean, we have very exciting things happening now in Beekeeper. So we are looking forward to release all these features to all of you. And yeah, so keep in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.